Welcome back to DM-Nastics, the gym for dungeon masters to work out their minds. I'm one of your hosts, DM Neil, aka Jote Mania.
And it's me, your other host, DM Celeste, aka Sea Witch.
And today, with all our actions combined, so it's like a Captain Planet reference.
Yeah,
but
I like
instead of powers, it's
heart.
Yeah. He's like, oh, damn it. I showed up last to the meeting.
What power is left? I got this one. All right, that's fine.
The weird Aquaman. Yes. So, today we are looking at another article. I actually went through all the articles that I had in the giant folder because I had actually made an entire mess of them.
Oh my gosh.
So I pulled out all the ones we had used. I sorted them by name, not realizing that I didn't actually want to do that, but it's where we are. And I found an article entitled
Dungeons and Dragons 10 Best Class Ability Combos.
And it was brought to us by Chris Stomberg on The Gamer. It was published back in 2020, so late 2020. So in theory, there could be more great combos. But what is always interesting to me about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is that stuff keeps coming up that people didn't know about, and I don't know why. So here we are.
Yeah, this one is good. It's really crunchy. And some of these, I actually went and double-checked that they were true, because I was like, that can't be right. What? So I
agreed.
I learned from this. I learned how to be more, if only I was a player more. I feel like I could be a real snot with some of these.
Yeah, and so one of the interesting things, and I think this is one of the biggest pieces of this specific mental exercise, is that there are two ways that you need to look at these. There are three ways that you can look at these. One is that you need to know that can totally happen to you as the DM. Two, you can also provide this to your players depending on what state they are in, to say, hey, did you guys happen to know about this and this and how they could work together? And three is just using it against the DM you love.
Yeah. At the end of the day, all us DMs secretly want is for you all to destroy us and have a great time doing it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's learn. We'll go through these bad boys.
So number 10 is, I'm surprised it's the first one to come across because I feel like it's probably the best one.
It's good. This is the one I double checked because there's no way.
Oh, it is.
And it totally is.
Terrifying.
It's rude.
So it is Commander's Strike and Sneak Attack. So one of the things with Sneak Attack is that it specifically states that you can use a Sneak Attack once per turn. And that is the key element here because it is not once per round. So as long as all of the requirements are met that you would get Sneak Attack, you theoretically can use it on multiple turns. Be it yours when you would normally have it, or when your fighter friend decides that Commander's Strike would be useful to give you a Sneak Attack. So you could have two. The third case scenario is that you could use a reaction for an opportunity attack to get your third. But that's kind of outside of really fringe cases of giving another action that I can't think of. But yeah, you could consistently have two without a second thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one is so super good, but it does require that obviously you have a rogue in your party, and then it requires that you have a fighter specifically with the Battle Master subclass, which is by far the most popular fighter subclass, but still, that's a pretty sweet little combo there. And I'm very glad I do not have a fighter and a rogue in any of my games. Oh my god, I do! Oh no, but the fighter isn't a champion, is not a Battle Master. It's fine.
I am the rogue in a game with a Battle Master fighter, and it's obscene. I've gotten a critical on a Sneak Attack and rolled 14
so many dice.
Yes,
so many dice.
And you can do it at range too. So then I have Sharpshooter because I'm throwing daggers. That's the route I went because I don't really want to die in front because it's higher level. It's terrifying.
Wow.
Because I genuinely thought of other ways to force this because of what I learned through the rest of the article. Because I'm like, wait, but if you could theoretically force someone out and give me opportunity attack, and I could potentially do a third.
Yeah.
sneak attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yee. Nasty.
Okay. So wonderful. So what is number 9?
Yeah, so this one we have the web and fire damage combo, which I feel like this one is a little more well known, though I've never actually seen it happen in game.
Me either.
Yeah, so basically if you cast the web spell to capture a bunch of enemies, there is written into the language of the web spell that if you hit it with fire, it explodes into fire. So that does eliminate the web. The webs burn away, but everything trapped in it takes an extra 2d4 fire damage on top of whatever damage they got from the triggering event. So if it's a fireball or whatever it is. So, I mean, that's a nice little damage kicker on there.
Well, I think, fireballs are your go-to thought is there's a bunch of enemies running, web them, fireball them. But my thought was you could start to kick off this combo even earlier because I think of burning hands.
Right.
Because you could still do a cone.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you don't have to get all the web. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you would still do, if you're rolling your whatever D6 for your fireball, you're adding 2d4 on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's especially if the scaling of that is hilarious because if you think there's 5, that's 10 to 40 more damage.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. If you could capture somebody in a web and then the wizard just spends the turn firebolt the individuals trapped in it. And then
yes.
That's that nice little pick them off while somebody else is dealing with whatever the big boss is.
Ooh, it did just dawn on me. Even having read the article previously, that same rogue has a cloak of the Arachnia.
Oh, jeez.
Definitely going to web something and tell someone else to cast a fireball.
Yep.
And that is wonderful. And I really need to write this down.
Oh, I feel really bad for your DM in this game that you're learning.
You should. You really should.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay. Next up, we have shove and melee attacks.
Shove is so underrated. Yes.
It is. Okay, thank you. I was thinking the same thing of it's not that hard. It's very straightforward. If it happens, they fell down.
Yep.
They're prone.
Yep.
Everyone gets advantage that's standing there. The only thing to note is that if you're doing ranged attacks, those become at disadvantage. That's why it specifically notes the melee attacks.
Yeah. It's because people don't know about the special attack section. I feel like people kind of overlook that. And then there's also the grappler feat, which you don't need to do this, but makes you better at doing it. And I feel like a lot of people don't know they can shove because shoving is awesome. But the thing is also it does require teamwork because if you shove someone and get them down there, they're just going to stand right back up on their turn. So you have to make sure somebody else is going after you to be able to really capitalize.
So I know what you meant. But when you said teamwork, my first thought was, you got to have someone else that crouches down behind them so that when you shove them, you're guaranteed to fall over back.
Three
That's
Stooges.
what the help action is. If you give someone help. Okay, so this one is really scary.
Yeah, this is bad.
I don't want this. I don't want this combo in my game to exist. Because you have Hold Monster and Divine Smite. Basically, you're forcing a critical through the paralyzed condition.
Yeah.
And one of the really nice things about Divine Smite is that the person can hold it until they get that critical, then just dump all of their resources into it because then every dice that they're choosing to spend is now doubled.
Yep.
And you know exactly when it's going to happen because you're holding the monster.
Yeah, this is rough.
Also, second level spell starts the combo of Hold Person.
Yeah.
It's the 5th level spell that has Hold Monster, but this could easily start at level 3.
Yeah, your poor bandits or whatever that you're fighting early days are just going to be wrecked. Again, I think this doesn't happen so much because I still think there is quite a bit of confusion over Hold Person versus Hold Monster. I know I've had my players try to use Hold Person on everything under the sun, and then they get frustrated. And then when an actual humanoid person comes up, they don't use it because they were so frustrated.
Yep. As an avid Venture Maidens listener, you're right. I've heard this.
You've heard this a bunch. Yes, but
it's wonderful.
Oh boy. Yeah, the paralyzed condition is nasty. Any combos with that is always going to be so good. I think in whatever the next edition of D&D is, if I was them, I would get rid of the paralyzed condition because it's so messed up.
Yeah, because it also brings up the idea of the sneak attack. So, I mean, if we roll this back, back up into the other one, I've done hold monster, then I've done sneak attack, and it could even be that I did my sneak attack. Wait, how long does hold? What's the condition to break hold?
It's a wisdom save at the end of each turn, I think. Once you're held.
So theoretically, because if they can't get out based on damage, that means that
no, there's no damage. So at the end of each of its turns, the target can make another wisdom saving throw. On a success, the spell ends.
A completely reasonable party composition is the wizard that casts hold person.
Yep.
The rogue that attacks with critical sneak attack damage. The paladin that then does a critical divine smite. And the fighter who gets a critical and uses their commander strike to have the rogue get a second critical sneak attack.
And that can all be theoretically done at level 3, a third level party, right? Or whenever you get second level spells. So
yeah, literally the only variance of what is the most standard composition of a party was me picking a paladin instead of a cleric.
Yeah, dude.
This is the most
nuts.
Any rogue.
Yeah,
it's any rogue. It's any spellcaster. It happens to be a specific. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Deleted. All of this stuff deleted.
Go. No, don't do this. Oh boy. Yeah, well, that's wild. So let's look at the next one here, which is Hex and Grapple or Shove. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this one is just pretty much riffing off of the shove and melee attack, because what Hex does is when you hex somebody, you basically pick which stat they're going to be rolling with a penalty. So yeah, it makes them more likely to fail Strength, which is what you need to win grapples, or shoves, which is what you need to get people prone. So that's a very nasty little combo.
And as someone with a warlock in their party, I mean, really the question of that synergy is just what is best. Yeah. Like your party needs to just talk to each other. So most likely the player in my campaign that plays a warlock will pick Constitution because of the abilities of the other players, which is a bummer for me sometimes. But I mean, that's the way this works.
Yeah.
So yeah, just find out which one works and then use that. So, Darkness and Devil's Sight. So this is wonderful, because Devil's Sight, again, another warlock ability that basically now you can see through magical darkness, and then someone casting this onto the warlock, who then just runs where they need to go and can see perfectly fine.
So this is one that I use as a DM a lot, that I give my monsters. So that have the darkness spell, and then throw that up, and like, boom, or monsters with true sight, boom, like... It's amazing how much it ruins everybody's day when you take away the ability to see, because like 90% of all abilities require you can see your target.
Well, the other thing I think is like, and also you switch it up, and as long as I would have it be a hex blade, then you don't have those same concerns about the warlock just running in as this terrifying globe of darkness or whatever version of the spell.
It's good.
Okay, what do we have next?
Oh man, Bardic Inspiration and Guidance. Oh god, guidance is so annoying. but yeah, yes. I mean, and Bardic Inspiration is like a less annoying version of guidance. But yeah, if you put those two things together, yeah, a player could get an additional 1d6 and 1d4 to an ability check. So yeah, if you really want someone to do real well, you have the cleric do guidance and you have the bard do Bardic Inspiration, and you're gonna be party rocking in the house tonight. That's all. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. And the whole thing of it is with skill checks, with ability checks, they don't crit fail.
Right.
They don't crit, and the same said, they don't crit succeed. So the other thing I think of is like that 25 where you think like, okay, they actually can't. Oh no, I guess they can, because now you've given them additional 10 potentially that they could go up from whatever they roll.
Yep.
Which, I mean, again, going all the way back to the thing I said at the very beginning is it works both ways. Is that this can be scary for you as the DM. At the same thing, like there are times you just genuinely don't want your players to fail, but you still are going to fall to the dice. This is something you could bring up, that you could stack guidance and Bardic Inspiration. And Bardic Inspiration goes up as levels go up, if I'm correct.
That's the dice size.
It,
so
like, the dice get bigger.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so next up we have Silence and Grapple. Just basically take your spellcaster completely out of the equation.
Just ruin a spellcaster's day. Because, if they're silenced, that's all verbal components. And if they're grappled, they can't move their hands. So that's, what do they call that? Somatic?
Yep.
No?
Verbal,
somatic. And material, right? Yeah, so if a spellcaster can't say the words and they can't move their hands, they're not casting any spells. So I mean, if you're fighting something like a lich or an archmage, this is amazing. This is an amazing combo. Though you better hope that mage, actually, you should do grapple first, because otherwise the mage can counterspell your silence.
Yeah.
So just beware of that. So it should be grapple and silence for the name of this, but
I was trying to see if we could do the same thing with the darkness, but it's cast on a point. It's not casted on an object. Because I also thought the same thing of just like putting it on whoever was going to grapple, and then they just run in as a 20-foot ball of silence.
Well, then they would have disadvantage on, but unless they had double sight.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, because counterspell is somatic. So if you can grapple a mage, and then they can't counterspell if you do a silence. Boom.
Oh, and you can
boom, and that pretty much covers all spells. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. That's a good one. That's a good one to point out.
The next two are interesting because they're not as exciting as the list that we've gone through so far, but yeah. So the next two are a little bit interesting because they kind of need some more specific styles of gameplay, especially with this one. Careful Spell and Evasion. Basically forcing your party or a player in your party to be surrounded, and then using these so that person isn't hurt by a area of effect spell. So basically they would come out of it unscathed because you have the Careful Spell and Evasion comboed together.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine, but I think also with Careful Spell you could just punch a hole in where the rogue was standing. So why do you need Evasion? That's what I thought too. I feel like they were running out of steam towards the end of this one. It's all that was happening there. So
we will end on the note of inspiring leader and aid.
Yeah. Yes, that is a lot of hit points that everyone gets.
And this is the interesting one that I had to go verify, was that based on, and certainly this probably falls into the one where maybe you could get into a discussion with your DM about how it works, but basically that these temporary hit points could all work together, that one wouldn't cancel the other out.
Oh, but that's not how temporary hit points work. The rule is that it's always replaced. You can never have two sources of temporary hit points.
So their reading of aid is that it doesn't actually provide temporary hit points.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Increases the hit point maximum and current hit points. Oh, yeah. No, that is totally true. So, yeah, I guess that's the best way to boost hit points. Yeah, that's a pretty good combo.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It could definitely get into a place where there could be different readings on aid and whether or not it is temporary hit points. But I totally see where they're coming from. I mean, I'd allow it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean the mechanics are totally different. This is totally
hopefully
good.
It distracts from anything else on the list happening at my table. So please players, do this every time you would like.
All right, be nice to each other. That's fine.
Extra hit points, great.
Nice.
Not kicking my monster over and stomping it out. Yes.
Yeah. Good article. It made me think. It was very crunchy. It's nice to have a crunchy roll every once in a while.
And with that note, if you like that and you wanted to, you could always head to your podcatcher of choice: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I think it's on Pandora. I just clicked a bunch of buttons.
All the Podbean ones. All the Podbean ones.
It's like 6 extras. It's really easy. And of course, the ultimate gym dues is to just go tell someone that you enjoyed the show and you think that they would enjoy it as well.
Yeah. And of course, you can always reach out to us via email at dmnastics@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at DM-Nastics, me at cconowitch, and Neil at jotmaniac. And for everything else on the network, you can always check out blockpartypodcastnetwork.com. And a huge thank you to the bards over on Bombarded for our intro and outro music. You can find out more about Bombarded at bombardedcast.com.
And with that, let's head to the post-workout cooldown and stretch with the light bulb.
Light bulb.
Neil, I got something really cool in the mail.
So I have shown you cards before, and you're going to show me cards. And no, wait, you've shown me cards before. Yes. What do you have?
I think we've both shown each other a lot of cards over the course of this, but boy, I have more. Cards are so cool. So today, I wanted to talk about the Critical Hits deck from Nord Games. So what this is, have you heard of these before?
No, but I'm very excited because I used to have a Critical Hits deck for Pathfinder 1E, and it was, just to be frank, it was really tough to transition that into D&D 5e.
Because it's so mechanical.
Yeah, but I just felt like I was always pulling extra cards to get something that I thought would be worth it.
Yeah, so this one, it's brand shiny new. Yeah, the Critical Hits deck, which is compatible for 5th edition. So basically, this is for GMs. So whenever you roll a critical hit against your players, you can go ahead and pick up this deck and pull one of these cards. And each of the card has 4 different options on it of what happens to that character, like an extra bad effect on top of the critical hit. So if you ever find yourself struggling, like, oh man, a natural 1 or like a natural 20 is supposed to be so good, but I just don't have great ideas. These cards are perfect for that because you can draw one, read real quick. They're all like 1 to 2 sentences, and it adds a nice extra effect. And what's even better is all the cards are sorted. So there's a big chunk that's called setbacks, and then there's life-threatening, and then there's deadly. So there's 3 different categories. So maybe based on how many hit points your party has, or if you're doing like a lower level party, you might just stick to the setback. If they're really being snotty and it's a bad fight, like go to the deadly sections. But it's cool. So, I mean, there are minor things. So like on the setback for one, there's like not the face, where you receive a permanent scar on your face. It's something like, it's not a really bad mechanical effect or anything, but it's a cool, interesting thing. Whereas there are crunchy ones like make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw on a failed save. If you're wearing chain or ring armor, its effectiveness is reduced by 1. So like a break in your armor. Or boom, if you have a spell like double damage, and if the attack did force or thunder damage, you're pushed back like 1d4 plus times 5 feet. So it's very cool. And I feel like they did a really good job balancing all 4 different effects on the cards. So if you want something like mechanically crunchy, or if you want something, they have things on here. So they have like a spell icon, an arrow icon, and a weapon icon. So if that's the incoming attack, you can always look at that. So I just thought this was really neat.
I like it. Yeah, I've missed these because my campaign originally was Pathfinder, and I used them all the time. Crit fail.
Yeah, get you some.
So you can check it out in the show notes.
Yeah, so again, these are the critical hits deck, and this one is from Nord Games.
Perfect. Yep, like I said, there will be a link in the show notes, and with that, we'll turn out the lights and head out of the gym. But before we go, I want to implore you, the listener, to join the forums, the Discord, Twitter, and anywhere else you can find us and take part in these challenges, exercises, and other amazing conversations being had.
To do that, head over to dungeonmasterblock.freeforums.net and try some DM-Nastics so your players don't ask, do you even lift?